In this video lesson, I'm going to show you how we can take an image like this, which as you can see has a very narrow depth of field, and how we can combine it with other images to make an image that looks like this, which as you can see has a nice crisp, sharp focus right from the very back of the image right to the very front of the image. How I've done this is to take multiple images. I've taken 7 images at slightly different points of focus, and just look as I scroll through this here, you can just see that the point of focus just changes as I scroll through. See how the stem is now becoming sharper. Okay, let's scroll back and we can combine all those together so that it looks like this. And it's a great technique for improving your macro shots, where getting a good deep depth of field is quite challenging even at small apertures such as f16 or 22. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to just open these images in Adobe Camera Raw. So you can see I've just selected the 7 images there, a case of double clicking, and here we go. You can see that we're in Camera Raw 5. Okay, I'm just going to scroll down to the end, put my finger on Shift, and we've selected all the images there. That means that any changes I make will be across all 7 of the images at the same time, simultaneously, which is a great time saver. So what I'm going to do is just simply come over to the temperature slider, just going to bring that down just a little bit, just to make it a little bit colder. I am just going to make them a little bit darker, not too much. I'm going to just boost the contrast a wee bit, likewise the clarity and the vibrance, just to give the images a little bit of a boost. And then I'm just going to save those images out, which we can do just by clicking here. Just designate where we're going to save them. We can rename them as focus. Let's just type that in. Focus, let's do 3, and let's just specify where we're going to do that. And we'll do it in our original folder. Let's create a new one, which is called focus _3. _3, make new folder, select, and let's just zero that, there we go, and press save. And then you can just see it's just working away down here. It just takes a few moments to save those 7 images out, and I'll just join you in a couple of seconds when that's been done. Okay, so now we have done that, we just need to return to Bridge, and here you can see that we have our images in the folder that we just created, focus _3, and here is our 7 images with the Adobe Camera Raw tweaks made on them. So now what we're going to do, and this is a great feature in Bridge with CS4, is that we can just go to Tools, down to Photoshop, and then across to Load Files into Photoshop Layers. And it takes a wee while, but as you'll see, it's importing all of the 7 images into layers, into one image with multiple layers in Photoshop. And it's just going to take a few moments, but you can see on the right hand side here that the images are coming in, and each time a new layer comes in, it's coming in as its own layer. So there you can just see, if I sort of scroll on, as you can see, the various focus points throughout the image, and they're all now combined together into one image. And it really is very simple from here. All we need to do is just make sure we select all the layers. So I can do that by just holding Shift down, and then you can see all the layers are highlighted on with the blue. Let me just go to Edit, and then down to Auto Blend Layers, and I'm just going to click on that, and here you can see it says Stack Images, and make sure that the seamless tones and colors is also checked, and we're just going to click OK. And again, just wait for Photoshop to do its magic and all the hard work for us. Again, this just takes a few minutes, so I'm just going to put this recording on pause and just join you in 30 seconds or so. Okay, there we go, there we have it. Actually, it was a bit longer than 30 seconds, it was probably more like a minute and a half, but it still was a lot quicker than it would have been to try and do it manually. And if you look, we can see the image now. It's crisp and focused all the way throughout. These petals right at the back and right at the foreground. It's actually quite amazing. And then you can see how clever it is here with these masks, how the sharp bits of information have been taken from all of the images. So you can just play around with the eye icon on the left here and just see what Photoshop's been up to in a minute and a half, which, when you see what it's done, is really pretty clever. So really, in terms of the focus stacking, that's pretty much it. It really is very simple. If you are using an older version of Photoshop or Photoshop Elements, you might want to look at some other options, such as third-party software like Helicom, which also does this. This is for Photoshop CS4 or CS5 users can take advantage of this technique. Okay, so now we're going to go on and just do some final tweaks just to give a bit of artistic input into this image. So let's go ahead and start doing some of those. The first thing I'm going to do is just alter my crop a little bit, and I'm going to do that by just selecting the crop tool from the tools palette on the left hand side here, and I'm just going to mark my area here, just ensuring that there's no restrictions on the cropped area. And once we're happy, just double click inside the area and we can make our crop. Okay, so now I want to just do a little bit of dodging and burning, and to do that what I'm going to do is a nifty keyboard shortcut, and I am going to press Shift Control Alt and the letter E simultaneously to create a new layer at the top of the layer stack, and this layer is all the layers below it merged together, and it's a great little shortcut if you want to do that. Okay, now I'm going to select the burn tool from the tools palette here on the left hand side. I'm going to just create a slightly bigger brush, and that should be about good. Actually just a little bit bigger than that. And I'm going to set my exposure to about 16, and I'm just going to really just dusting the corners just to help focus the eye in. I'm also going to just do a little bit right in the middle here, just on the center of the flower there, just to help give it a bit of depth, and that's just helps draw the eye in just a little bit. It's a kind of studio glow, almost as if there's a sort of backlight in the middle. That works quite well. I can just see that I've got just a little bit of dust on my sensor there as well. So I'm just going to go to the patch tool. I'm going to just remove that like that and like that, and also make a note to clean my sensor once I've finished with this. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is just give a little tweak to my tones and colors, and I can do that with an adjustment layer. So let's just go up to curves and just boost the contrast just a little bit by just adding a gentle S-curve there. And you can see that's obviously re-editable, so we can do that again later. And also we can also just adjust our colors as well. So let's just go to color balance, and then you can see that the adjustments palette changes. I'm just going to make it just a little bit bluer, just to really accentuate that blueness. Let's just close out of that, get that out of the way. And of course, if we want to go back and re-edit any of these at a later time, we can. Next thing I'm going to do is to create another compressed version of the layers. So again, back to Shift Control Alt and the letter E. Let's try that again. Shift Control Alt and the letter E. It is a little bit fiddly at times, and so then again I have another compressed version at the top of the layer stack here. I'm going to go up to Filter, down to Blur, Gaussian Blur. I'm going to add about 60 pixels in there and click OK, and as you can see that's gone totally blurred, but I'm going to alter that by changing the layer blending mode from normal to soft light, and we have this nice ethereal effect. Now this technique works quite well on a number of different types of images. This is way too strong for this type of image. I just want to be a little bit subtle about it, so I'm going to bring that down to about sort of 15%, and here you can see it's just boosting the contrast just a little bit and just giving just a very, very, very subtle glow. Obviously, after all the work of making this picture pin sharp, we don't want then to make it soft, but that's just enough to just give it an edge. Okay, now so time to do the nifty keyboard shortcut once more. So Shift, Control, Alt and the letter E. And again, we're at the top of our layer stack there. And this time I'm going to really cheat, and I'm going to go to Filter and I'm going to go to Liquify. I'm going to make sure I've got the little nudge tool from there, and I've got a decent sized brush size. What I'm going to do is actually just make this stem a little bit narrower and slimmer. So it's retouching for flowers here, and I just find that I kind of like the idea of this stem just being a little bit slimmer. So let's just take a little bit off, and you can see what I'm doing, just sort of nudging it in, and I don't think you'd ever notice that that has been tweaked like that. It's the same way that you can make people look a little bit thinner in their portraits too. So let's just click OK, and it just takes a few minutes, and then you can just, if I just toggle with the Control Z, toggle on and off, and you can just see, and I just think that that makes it a little bit more of a pleasing composition with a slightly thinner stem. Okay, and the last thing we want to do is to just have a little bit of a sharpen. So let's go up to Filter, Sharpen, and down to Unsharp Mask. And a lot of these parameters seem to be pretty much as I would have them. And we can just check. So we can just move our viewer over here so we can just see, clicking the preview on and off. It is quite subtle, as you can see. Let's just change that radius to 2. And let's have a little preview, and again you can probably can't even see it on this screen, but I think that's just enough to just give it a slight edge. So there you go, you can see that we have our image which is crisp and sharp right through from the very back of the image to the very front of the image, and what in the end looks like quite a pleasing composition.